Okay, here we go. So there are quite a lot in the 10th scene, so let's have a look at this. In the first one, here we go. There is the medal from A New Hope at the end, and also part of the Jedi texts from The Last Jedi. And of course, this is our version of the scroll, the famous Star Wars scroll. I didn't want to actually do a scroll, so I thought what would be an interesting way of kind of hinting at the scroll, at the origins of the scroll, and thought Ellie might be writing in a journal and keeping track of everything she's finding, and we just shoot it in the way that the scroll works. And I quite like it. Some people really notice it, some people don't, but there you go. And obviously that is the training droid from A New Hope that Luke is fighting against, and another Jedi symbol from The Last Jedi, made personally by me actually. Akbar, there you go, there's his name. That's obviously a very famous character from Star Wars.
Dr. Bumberger, go you must, they are here.
Nazis.
So hung up in the tent are sketches of creatures from Star Wars, from the whole saga. So you've got the Sarlacc pit there, you've got one of the creatures from Rebels, and Clone Wars, and all sorts of stuff throughout this scene. So if you watch this scene and keep an eye on the drawings hung up, then you'll see that. I thought it would be fun, because cave paintings are usually of creatures like mammoths and things like that. So I thought it'd be fun that she's kind of documenting the creatures that come out of the temple. And also, I didn't really want to give it away so early that, we were kind of telling the story of Star Wars through murals. So this is a good way of nodding to that, and hopefully something you spot on a second watch. And also, just the arrow pointing at Akbar's mouth, he does say Dr. Bumberger, which is actually George Lucas's mum's maiden name. So if you know that, then it kind of spoils the entire plot, but it's in there. So a few things here. We've got a few more drawings from creatures from Star Wars, as mentioned. There's a few things from Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail right there. And if you have another little look at the arrow at the top, there's the Mortis gods from Rebels, which you've also seen in the caves. So I thought that was a good nod to have. And then of course on the table, which becomes part of the scene later on, is the R2-D2 restraining bolt. So this bag is an exact replica of Rey's bag from The Force Awakens, and it is actually the bag that she carries Luke's lightsaber in to give it back to Luke. And then she ends up putting Luke's, or rather Rey's, lightsaber in the bag. So if you spot that, then it's kind of a precursor of what's about to come. There's the training droid again. I only mention it again just because it's actually about what she does. So she takes a look at it and throws it over her shoulder, which is exactly what Finn does in The Force Awakens. An obvious one, but this is an actual Indiana Jones hat. The same shape, the same make, the same everything. Obviously important for our prototype Indiana Jones character.
Multiple moons.
That's no moon.
And there's probably an obvious one. That's no moon. That's what obviously Ben says when they see the Death Star for the first time.
Tear this camp apart until you find the artifact!
So a little look at Seth Tattoos here. Obviously tattoos are important to Star Wars, especially on bad guys, if you think about Darth Maul and a few others. So this is kind of an amalgamation of a few things. So obviously you've got the Jedi symbol on his forehead. You've got this kind of slash design, which is kind of half the design of the Inquisitors from Rebels. I'm a big Rebels fan, so I really wanted to include that. And then above his cheek is, in Arabesh, it says Two Sons. I quite like the idea that it's the tribe that protects the temple is called the Two Son tribe. I did want to include it on a few of the tribesmen in the film, but it didn't quite work. But that's a nice nod to that. So including this whole scene, because basically it's a bit of a recreation of Ben on the Death Star in A New Hope. So stormtroopers arriving, kind of splitting off to wait, and then he makes a noise and she does, but obviously doesn't use the Force, she uses the R2-D2 restraining bolt, and that's her escape. And the next little one is this, which is obviously the Wilhelm scream, which is in lots and lots of movies and is also in every single Star Wars movie. Not quite exclusive to Star Wars, but definitely a kind of film trope. A little Jurassic Park reference here. Objects in the mirror close on they appear. Jurassic Park being a big influence of mine, it was definitely wanting to include that.
Far, far away.
Obviously we've got far, far away, and also I know I've used wipes earlier on, but just a nod that the kind of same Star Wars wipes are used. There we go. So we have the Cup of Eternal Youth from Indiana Jones. We have a map from Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail, and also we have a Sith holocron creeping into the foreground there. So 100 points for spotting all that. Okay, I don't know whether this class is an Easter egg or not, because I'd run out of arrows if I labelled everything. But that's basically the entire Star Wars. That's basically the entire Star Wars saga in one shot. Which obviously was a heck of a lot of work and a lot of planning to figure out what images we should include and what we shouldn't. And there's a few more that I would have loved to have included, but I just couldn't fit them in. But yes, it's I love this shot, and it's kind of the perfect Indiana Jones meets Star Wars image. It's a trap! She said it. You got to have it in a film, and Ellie said it on the radio. Okay, just a little thing here. They've been firing at Ellie for ages, and just like stormtroopers, they can't hit anything. The temple. So you probably know by now that that's a Star Destroyer. Hopefully on a first watch you haven't noticed it, or maybe you have, but I guess you're not expecting it to rise out of the ground. Anyway, the entrance to the temple is actually the trash chute that we see in Empire Strikes Back. So it's just buried conveniently to make it look like an entrance. Bit of Tarkin there. Fire when ready. Obviously famously said by Tarkin to cue the Death Star blowing up Alderaan. And I know I mentioned these ones earlier, a bit more of a look at the holocron, but I just thought it was fun that of everything he takes his sketchbook and his camera, but he leaves the key to eternal youth, a holocron which basically contains Jedi knowledge or Sith knowledge of everything, and just runs off with it. And also it's a little Indiana Jones nod that he forgets something and has to go back and grab it, which actually was a mistake that Jamie did on set. We decided to keep it in because it was very Indiana Jones. So this is a little Back to the Future nod of a guy in the back of a truck firing a rocket launcher. Hello Hans Dice, you've probably seen them earlier on in the film, but this is a good clear look at them. And those exact dice are also now hanging up in my car. So if you listen carefully, and I'm going to play it again after I've told you, we've mixed in the sound mix, we've mixed in so if you listen carefully, and I'm going to play this again in a second, you'll hear a TIE fighter in the screech as the rocket launcher fires. So have a little listen and see if you can hear it. Very obvious Easter egg, but that's the corridor. The Imperial pill shapes or design, because they look like elongated pills. But yeah, basically that's the corridor.
Oh, I've got a bad feeling about.
Obviously in every single film, including The Last Jedi, because apparently the droid said it at the beginning, I've got a bad feeling about this.
My father had such naive notions. I had to kill him too.
Well, there's just a lot of sons killing fathers and father-son stories in Star Wars, so it was important that he did as well. Okay, if you missed this one, you were probably asleep watching the film, but that is the Vader mask from The Force Awakens. Making this film, recording this, I haven't actually yet seen Rise of Skywalker, so I have no idea whether this helmet makes it intact or not, but hey, it was a fun thing to include here. And if you listen very, very carefully, you can hear a very subtle Vader breath. The lightsaber. So again, I shot this film way before Rise of Skywalker came out, and I was curious to know, having seen The Last Jedi when they broke Luke Skywalker's saber in half, how it was going to come back. So the trailer came out for Rise of Skywalker, that cool trailer with Rey jumping over Kylo's fighter, and it had this cool wooden banding that had fused it together. So the night before the flight, I got some cardboard and some bits and bobs and threw together something which visual effects ended up fixing a bit at the end. But hey, it still means we're still canon.
We'll find it ourselves.
So in that explosion was a Wookiee roar as part of that. And in a lightsaber fight, battle, anything, you've always got to chop through someone's arm. It's very subtle, but this is what she's doing here.
There's an army right by the entrance. It's impossible.
Never tell me the odds.
Another line, never tell me the odds, which is kind of a bit of a motto of mine making this film. But I thought it was nice to include it here, and I really like the way he delivers it. He makes it his own. So this is a very subtle hint to Lothal from Star Wars Rebels. I told you I was a Rebels fan. And so that's kind of the planet the ship is going back to. I quite like the idea that because there's lots of trinkets and collections and things that they found in this temple, that this could possibly be Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer, hence why there's bits and bobs from kind of Star Wars on it. Very, very, very subtle, but I thought it'd be a fun thing to include. And another subtle one here, that flashing screen, what the arrow is pointing to, is actually the clearance codes that they use in Return of the Jedi.
Also, I was thinking, maybe let's not name him Walter. How about George?
George Lucas. And there you go, that's George Lucas in her tummy. Hashtag spoilers. Yeah, so obviously the biggest Easter egg of them all.
Ellie?
And I thought I'd just play this scene out because obviously at the end we get I love you. Here it comes.
I love you.
And she doesn't get a chance to reply, but then says, I know. Which obviously becomes a really famous Star Wars line. And I thought it was nice to play with the way that we did it in this film. That is the end of the Easter egg hunt. I hope you've enjoyed it. I might have forgotten some, but there we go.